Hello everyone, Joseph here, your coach of the Minnesota Eon Twins with your Week 11 Battlecast. I know it's been a while since we've had one of these. I've been a little bit busy, and just the battles that we haven't really been conducive to my recording. We had a couple, the last one at least was on the DS, and my camera battery is dead and I can't find the charger right now, so I can't record that one yet. I don't know if I will. So yeah, I don't know when the last time was that I did one of these. It's been a few weeks, but here we are, week 11, the end of the season, and we're taking on Toth and the Tacoma Tyranitars. So Toth is one of the other mods, and he's a great mod and does a lot of great things. He's been having a little bit of a rough season, but he's got a pretty frightening team, as you'll see here. Let me get my mouse out of the way there. Sorry about that. But yeah, let's scroll down here and see what he's got. So Toth has a little bit of a weather team, which is a lot of fun to prep for. So his Mega is Mega Steelix from the NU tier. I think it's an NU tier Mega. Obviously it has massive defenses, decent special defense, and some pretty high attack. So it's a threat in that way. And then he pairs it well with Tyranitar, bringing it home to the Tacoma Tyranitars. With Sandstream, which boosts its Sand Force ability. I may be wrong on that. I don't remember the exact name, but one of those sand abilities that makes it a little bit stronger. I think it's Sand Force. Anyway, so Tyranitar is his first OU pick, followed by Togekiss and Manaphy. This really is a powerful start to a team. Manaphy is a pickup off the waiver wire that he had a few weeks back, and obviously with Tail Glow instantly putting you at +3 special attack, it's a threatening sweeper in its own right. One of the mythical legends has base 100s across the board, so it can do just about whatever you want, whatever it wants. What's also frightening, so he's got sand at the beginning, but then he's got this rain thing going on as well. With Manaphy gets hydration, which means that it cures any status in the rain, as well as he has Kingdra here with Swiss Swim. We didn't see the last battle that I had, but we found out in that one that water spam gives my team a little bit of trouble. Just Victini. So Victini and Scissor have trouble breaking through certain water types, especially ones that are resistant to electricity, such as Lantern. Last time it was Lantern and Seismitoad, and this time it could potentially be Kingdra. Kingdra is one of my favorite Pokemon, so I'll be excited to see if Toth brings it in this round. But we've got things that we can do. We've got our own Dragon types, we've got our own Fairy types, and ways to, kind of deal with this water and Dragon type Kingdra. Really cool. But yeah, as you can see, it gave me a little bit of trouble when I was building. And then he's got his lower tier picks. So he's got the Jellicent, which fits with the water pretty well. It's a good wall. It can do a lot of things. Ghost typing's nice to have. It can burn. It's got some good recovery, as well as Curse Body, which can just be annoying. He's got Stoutland, which works great with his sand team since it gets Sand Rush. Picks up a little bit of speed. Otherwise, it's got a pretty lackluster base 80, and pair that with a Choice Banded Return and you're doing a ton of damage. He's got the RBL mascot, question mark, we'll call it that, the Mr. Mime himself, herself, that's right, you can have female Mr. Mimes. But yeah, he's got Mr. Mime, Psychic Fairy. It could give us some trouble. Probably not, since we've got Mega Scissor to take care of the fairy types. Regigigas come into the league for the first time. Toth's been using it really well, so it's something we actually do have to pay attention to in our prep, as well as Uxie, which has base 95 and some great supportive stats, supportive moves, I should say. So here's Toth's team. It's pretty well. Yeah, I built this team, I counter team this team. Not too long. I built it, I guess, in a day. Sometimes I take longer than that. At least I usually like to. I've had a bit of a downturn on my team building. I don't feel like I've got the inspiration that I do sometimes. But let's get into what I built anyway. So to start off with, here we've got the cool kid himself, our Mega Scissor. Sorry if I'm not looking right at the camera. But of course, Scissor's coming again, kind of the powerhouse of our team. It's my favorite Mega so far. Oh, no. Altaria, you were good, but you didn't perform up to standards. And obviously, Venusaur, you did very well for us. But I've had a lot of fun using Scissor, and I'm kind of sad that this is our last regular season match, potentially, with it. Unless we draft it again next season. Anyway, sidebar, back. So Scissor, running Scissor right and Technician, no changes there. The moves that we chose, I have so much trouble picking 4 moves for Scissor, because it's got a lot of great options. But for this match, I went with Bullet Punch, Knockoff, Swords Dance, and Roost. The problem with this set is it's going to get walled hardcore by Mega Steelix, but otherwise it can do quite a bit of damage to just about anything else. I didn't want to run U-Turn because of the setup. I didn't want to run Bug Bite because of Jellicent mainly. So Knockoff's going to be good to do a ton of damage, possibly Oko with the Swords Dance up. Jellicent if he decides to bring it. I thought about bringing Superpower and Aerial Ace. Superpower would help with the matchups with Mega Steelix and with Tyranitar, but I really just didn't have a spot for it. And Aerial Ace just wasn't as useful for this match. That was if he brought something like Hitmontop, but Hitmontop really can't do anything back to Scissor unless it has Fire Punch, and even then it's not Technician boosted, and Hitmontop's attack is kind of lackluster, especially if you're using it as a defender. So this was the set that I decided to run. If you get into the spread, I spent a lot of time thinking about this spread. This is probably the spread that no, it wasn't the spread that I spent the most of time on, because I ended up just kind of throwing it together at the end, actually. But I considered a lot of different options. Anyway, running max HP, or running Adamant with 60 points of attack, and this helps us with after a Swords Dance to pretty much Oko his team, do a lot of damage anyway, if we get prior damage on it. Max attack didn't really pick us up anything else, and if I wanted to set up, I wanted to have some built into my defenses anyway. So I built in 76 points into defense and 116 into special defense. Yeah, there's nothing special there. I just picked nice round numbers. I just got up to 130 and 115, and then put 1 point in speed just in case for some reason he has nothing on his team that hits base 75, which is Mega Scissor. Yeah, I just kind of threw the set together at the last minute. But it's bulky, and it allowed me to set up and pretty much KO things if I needed to, and it could take some hits and roosts and Swords Dance, and it's going to be hard to take down, which is kind of the goal of that. Yeah, I spent way too much time on the cool kid. But on to Tonic, running just a normal, bold, defensive set this week. So I thought long and hard. This is actually what I probably spent the most time thinking about, is what moves to run. I have, again, a hard time picking moves for Vaporeon. It really gets down to how the flow of the game goes in the end. So I went with Scald, Protect. I knew I was going to bring those. The last 2 moves, I was going back and forth between Roar, Wish, Heal Bell, and Toxic, trying to fit those 4 into the last 2 spots. For a while, I had Toxic and Roar just in case, because he's got a lot of setup on his team, and I wanted to kind of prevent that because I knew Vaporeon can be pretty big setup bait. Also considered Baton Pass briefly, but went away from that pretty quickly, just because the other moves I felt had a higher priority in this matchup anyway. Ended up going with Wish and Heal Bell. Heal Bell because there's a lot. I didn't want to run into Togekiss and Paralysis and Uxie and Paralysis and all that Paralysis. We had that in our match against Lokoghoul, which was on the DS. He kind of hit us hard with statuses, and it kind of crippled my team to the point where he was able to break through and kind of sweep us in the end. Up to that point, it had been a really good match, though. So that's what Tonic set was. Pepper, I decided to run a special one, just because I didn't want to run V-Create. This really doesn't do too much, and Victini's got a good special move set. So with this, yeah, just kind of is able to hit everything. I can lure in potentially, especially defensive Tyranitar, and do a ton of damage with a Focus Blast. I think just with Timid, Max Attack, Focus Blast, I should be able to... No, that's a defensive set I can OHKO, but not the specially defensive. But I can do a lot of damage, and just overall it does a lot of damage. It helps break down the Mega Steelix, because Blue Flare does a lot of damage. I think it's a roll on the KO from full. So yeah, that's that. It's enough speed to outspeed the Uxie by 1 point. So that comes into handy if I need it. I figured if he brings Manaphy, I'm not going to want to stay in anyway. I could run max speed and like Bolt Strike or something, but he might be running max speed or Scarf or something of his own, and in that case I could probably just switch out into one of my other Pokemon. Mostly like Catastrophe or the Cool Kid could take it on based on what I have built in. Leftovers just for some more recovery. I didn't need the extra damage from Life Orb or Expert Belt or Charcoal or anything. Yeah, that's about that. Next up is Pandora. The first time we're bringing Liepard. I've thought about it in other matches. So Liepard and Zebstrika are both the last two that haven't made it to one. I was going to bring Zebstrika against Loco Ghoul, but then I realized that I didn't have one on my Oras game, and I didn't have enough time to go out and catch one because they're on Mirage Islands only. So I didn't bring it anyway. But yeah, Liepard is making its first appearance. It's kind of my safety button if I start getting set up on by the Kingdra or the Manaphy or the Tyranitar, Dragon Dances or Tail Glows. I can come in and either Thunder Wave or Encore with Prankster. He doesn't have any real priority on his team outside of like Mach Punch on... Whoop, out of the screen there. Outside of like Mach Punch on Hitmontop. That's about it that I can think of off the top of my head. Obviously, if there's something else, you know what it is. Anyway, so Thunder Wave and Encore can help prevent that setup or the setup sweep. I guess Thunder Wave doesn't necessarily prevent the setup. And then U-turn and Knock Off just for some extra utility. And so our spread here, max attack, max speed, not max speed, enough speed to outspeed the Uxie again. Some couple points in special defense and defense, just because I had some left over, and the rest dumped into HP. So yeah, hopefully this can put in some work. I'm really actually think that it's helpful for this matchup, which is really nice. I'm glad that I'm getting to use Liepard, and we'll see what it can do. I guess you'll see what it can do since we've already played the match. Next up is Catastrophe the Hydreigon, a little bit of the power and backbone of our team here. Lots of special attackers this week. Not really mixed, pretty mixed anyway. So we're running, again, Timid max speed. This allows us to outspeed, not max speed, what am I doing? Enough points to outspeed base 90s, so that's going to be like the Mr. Mime. If it comes to it. Max special attack and the rest dumped in HP for a little bit of added bulk. Nothing too special there. Life Orb Levitate, moveset Draco Meteor, Dark Pulse, Earth Power, Roost. Wasn't really a great fourth slot. I could have thrown in like Flash Cannon, but I had enough to deal with fairy types if I needed to. Yeah, I wasn't too worried about Togekiss. I had the Cool Kid and Mother Gaia, which you'll see next, to deal with it if I needed. So Roost, just to, if I needed to roost up on something like the Gligar, would be pretty easy to roost up on. I can roost up on Steelix. I can roost up on... There's something else too. Maybe like the Uxie potentially, and Jellicent. Anyway, that's that set. Enough on there. And last up is Mother Gaia. This is actually the first one that I designed for this matchup, the first Pokemon that I built, because I was really excited about getting the chance to use Rhydine again. If he's going to be bringing the Sandstorm, I'm going to be ready for it. I'm bringing my own Rhydon. It also helps check, counter, whatever, the Togekiss with Lightning Rod. not to mention straight up ground immunity to thunder waves, as well as the resistance to air slash. You kind of shut that down with that and Stone Edge. Anyway, so I decided I've been wanting to try and bring Double Dance. What is it called? Double Dance? I guess. So Swords Dance, Rock Polish, Ride On. It can actually put in a ton of work against Toth's team in the right circumstances. If I wear things down, I can pretty much get to the point where I can... Half of his team is straight up O-code after a Swords Dance. I did all the calcs for that, and then most other things are brought down to like 10 to 20% after Swords Dance, and then Rock Polish with the investment that I gave it is enough to outspeed a max speed 100s, which is his Manaphy and his Regigigas after its slow start ends. He really doesn't have a very fast team, which is kind of interesting, and maybe part of the reason why Toth has had some problems is he doesn't have anything too fast, nor does he have a lot of great priority. Just kind of throwing out a thought there. So yeah, this is really just going to bring some power. Should be some fun to use. Hopefully I can get it set up in the match and it can do some damage. So enough rambling, talking about that. Let's get into the actual matchup that we had. I'm going to slide it over so you can watch some of the stuff on the side if you want to. Maybe right about there. Let's play normal speed with the music off. So we start off with, I decided to lead off with Pandora because I can U-turn or get a Thunder Wave. So I Thunder Wave his Uxie. I was expecting him to Thunder Wave me back here or U-turn or something. Set up Stealth Rocks, who knows. But he gets parried right away, which is, you know, handy for me, and then he gets parried again on that as I switch into the Cool Kid, not worried too much about what he might be able to do. He stays in as I go for knockoff. He gets parried a third time on the third turn, so that kind of sucks for Toth and puts me in a big advantage right away. And probably, yeah, that's a lot of momentum advantage right there. He could have crippled that. He didn't get up rocks or anything on that. He didn't officially have rocks. I have the moveset that he had. So he brings out Daredoo, as we said, this thing completely walls Mega Scissor, but I have Tonic to go out into. I go for a Scald as he goes into Manaphy. Obviously Manaphy is probably not going to attack me here because I can't do a lot to it, so it's going to set up in some way. So I'm pretty free to go out into Liepard, which is what I do. Let's slow this down one more so I have a time to speak. Hope you don't mind that. You can always speed it up in YouTube if you want to. But he goes for Substitute as I can sub past his, or I can Encore past his sub, and then since I have attack investment, I'm able to break his subs with Knockoff. So I can start wearing this down, get rid of leftovers. As you can see here, he is actually fairly fast because he's able to outspeed me on that turn and go for a Substitute, which is pretty interesting. I was running a fair bit of speed, but he's obviously running a lot more than I was. So here he goes out into his Darerude. Sandstorm, now I got that stuck in my head. Which is obviously going to take these hits just fine, but I can U-turn out and go out into, in this case I go out into Catastrophe, expecting either a Heavy Slam or Stealth Rocks or an Earthquake, and he goes for Earthquake, so I have Levitate immunity, and I'm free to go for an Earth Power here, because nothing's going to really appreciate it now that Uxie's gone, and he doesn't have his Levitator. But he takes us fairly well, so he's got some 8 HP investment. The sand obviously increases his special defense a little bit, and then he's got leftovers. So this is kind of like his special wall, it looks like. I did a quick calc, and it looked like that anyway. But that makes me say that I'm pretty free to go out into Tonic here, and he double switched, interestingly enough. I was considering going for another Earth Power there, but he doubled out into Mr. Mime, which is pretty interesting. Maybe he was expecting me to go for a Draco or something, but I was just going to go for an Earth Pulse or Earth Power again. But this lets me switch straight out into Pepper. Looking back, I should have just protected here, but I didn't. And this is the point right here where I have to decide if I think he's Scarfed or not, because I'll speed him or not, and there's about a 50% chance for him to KO with that Shadow Ball. Based on my health investment and max speed. But he gets the roll and he's able to KO Victini. Not a big deal because Victini's not doing a ton of damage to the rest of his team anyway. But this gives him freedom to go out into Mother Gaia and start setting up. So he switches out. He could have stayed in an attack, but he didn't. But that lets me go for Rock Polish here. So I know that he is scarfed on Mr. Mime now. So I'm just going to go for an Earthquake because now he's not free to switch in really anything. He goes for an Earthquake back. That does a ton of damage. I was not expecting it to do that much damage, but I guess he's got a... I guess Steelix is strong. But I'm able to KO it in 2 hits. My nice strong guy here. Here, I can live anything except an Energy Ball, but he has Energy Ball, and he decides to go for it, which is a smart play on his part, so I go down to that. That lets me get a free switch into my Scissor. Since he's scarfed into this, I'm free to set up a Swords Dance, and he's got nothing that can really deal with this. So he goes out into his Tyranitar, but with my attack investment and him only at about 76%, it's an easy KO with Bullet Punch, so no worries here. If he's got any sort of coverage move, especially since I've seen some especially defensive investments. I think he goes out in Dagron here, goes for Hidden Power, which does a ton of damage, but I've got that special defense investment, which bails me out a little bit there. I go for the knockoff. He's got some health investment definitely here, otherwise I would KO if it was just speed and special attack. But it gets to the point where Bullet Punch, a +2 Bullet Punch, can KO. And now he's forced to go out into... He goes into Mr. Mime here, which I was kind of questioning a little bit, because I'm just going to go for a super effective Bullet Punch, and that's going to easily knock out this. Yeah, because it doesn't get any priority. And then he's down just to Manaphy, which I can take out with the rest of my Pokemon pretty easily. Because I can go into Liepard, and Liepard can Thunder Wave it and whatnot, and then Thunder Wave and Encore, and then easy with the rest of them. But his Skull doesn't even knock me out thanks to my special defense investment and his whatever investment he has on it. He sent me the team later on, and I might take a look back at that after watching this again. But I'm able to knock off his leftovers, live the skull, knock off his leftovers, and then clean up with a Bullet Punch. So the cool kid, Mega Scissor, in the last, technically the Week 11 last match, picks up 5 KOs, while Gaia picks up Mother Gaia. Rhydon picks up the 6th, but that puts his differential at 16 and 3 and +13, so leading the league in KOs and differential, I believe, at least the Flare League. So I'm pretty happy about that. We've still got one more match that may or may not be played against Frosty. For various reasons, he's had a rough season and is likely going to forfeit his last 2 or 3 matches. So we'll see if we have another match. So this might be the last one for the Eon Twins. Thankfully I got another Battlecast video out for you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I have nothing much more to say other than we're right on the cusp of the playoffs. We're sitting at 7 and 3 and +12. There's a couple makeup games for people behind us. That's Platts and Jive Money and the Toronto Chestnuts, as well as Alex and the Bavarian Beedrills. They're both at 5 and 3 and 4 and 3 respectively. So depending on how they play out, I may be set for the playoffs. If not, let's see, if they both lose 2 matches, I'm automatically in. If they win out, then I have to, depends on what happens with Frosty's match. If I win that, then I'm in, potentially based on differential. Or if they both lose one and I win that one, then I'm in. Anyway, so yeah, we'll see how it goes. We might have some playoff matches coming for you in the future. That's going to be the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and look forward to more videos at the end in the playoffs or in the beginning of Season 5. So yeah.